I've been podcasting since 2018. And in that time, I've been a part of so many incredible communities. I've participated in memberships that have helped me grow my online business, ones that have helped me strategically position myself to be an authority in this space, and ones that have honestly just helped me skyrocket my revenue. And I've noticed one thing in particular. There is so much power when you have a community of people who just understand what you're trying to do. Like, I have a group of friends that whenever a launch is going sideways or whenever something on the back end of my technical situation just absolutely is not working and I just need to vent about it to someone besides my husband or my mom who they don't understand this world, my friends get it. And so that's what I have been looking to create for this community of podcasters and content creators, which is why we're launching a membership. I am so excited about this because this is the first of its kind community that's going to be a place for you to connect with other podcasters, but also get feedback on your content. It's called Podcasters Connect, and we are opening doors in November, but I want you to get on the wait list. So where you're listening to this, go to crystalproffitt.com/Podcasters Connect waitlist. There's going to be a link where you're listening to this episode today, but I want you to get on the waitlist. If you have been podcasting for a while and you haven't seen growth, or you want help in getting started, or you want to have collaboration opportunities to do some cross promotion, or you want to network with other people that can help you grow your show, join us. I want you to learn more about our community, especially whenever it first launches, because we're going to have some founding member pricing that will never come around again, and you don't want to miss it. Again, go to crystalproffitt.com/Podcasters Connect waitlist, but the link is going to be in the description where you're listening to this episode. I cannot wait to see you there. Okay, we're starting with a topic today that many of you have been asking me about, YouTube. And specifically, we're talking about your YouTube RSS feed or your podcast RSS feed on YouTube and what that looks like. Crystal, do I need to do this? Do we all need to have it? Is it going to interfere with the rest of my content on YouTube? How do we even make this work? Is it possible? What are all the things that I need to know? Well, I uploaded my podcast, the Proffitt Podcast, up to YouTube about 60-ish days ago of when I'm recording this. And I wanted to show you kind of the before, during, and after of what it looked like to upload my podcast, the lessons learned that I have, some of the numbers and metrics that I'm looking at and I'm tracking as we're kind of going along this journey, and what you can learn from all of this, all of my lessons learned, right? So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Proffitt Podcast, where we teach you how to start, launch, and market your content with confidence. I'm your host, Crystal Proffitt, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of content creation, this is the show that will help be your time-saving shortcut. So let's get right to it, shall we? Welcome back to the Proffitt Podcast. If we have not met before, I am Crystal Proffitt. I am your podcast coach, your content strategist, and I also like to say I'm your content therapist because I'm helping you work on your relationship with your content. And today we're diving into the first 60-ish days of what happened after I uploaded my podcast RSS feed for the Proffitt Podcast up to YouTube. And I'm actually going to share my screen. So if you're listening on the podcast and you want to dive into the actual visuals of what we're going through, go check out the YouTube video of everything we're talking about today. But a lot of this you're going to learn from the audio only version too, but highly recommend you check it out on YouTube because it will be very helpful there. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, and what you're going to see here is the back end of my YouTube channel. And what I really want to talk about is what you have to do to get your podcast RSS feed on YouTube. So what is a podcast RSS feed, right? What does that even mean? Well, this is how, like, I'm assuming you're a podcaster. This is how your show is appearing on all the other platforms like Apple and Spotify and all the other players that people are listening to your show. It's the exact same thing. It's partially the same kind of process, but there is a little bit of a different steps that you have to take in order to get your podcast from just a regular RSS feed onto YouTube. And I'm going to show you exactly what that is. So I'm actually going to take you over to my Buzzsprout account. So y'all know I'm a Buzzsprout endorser. If you've been around here, I'm a proud partner with them. You can go to crystalproffitt.com/Buzzsprout to try them out. I've used them since day one. So since 2018, like Buzzsprout and I, we're pretty close. And I love pointing you towards them because they always have the best tutorials on how to do things. So if you're a current Buzzsprout user and you want to know how this works, then I want you to go into your dashboard, your account, go over to directories. And once you navigate there, here, I'll go out to show you how I got there. You're going to see YouTube listed. This is a newer feature. So if you launched your podcast a few years ago and you're like, I'm already connected in all the places, I actually go back and check the directories from time to time just to see if there's new players added that I want to go in and, add my show to. So I make sure that it's listed everywhere. And so once you click into YouTube, they have step-by-step instructions on what you need to do. So understand how YouTube is different than platforms. YouTube makes a copy of your episodes once they're published. We're going to come back to this because it is important for those of you that are like, oh, I can just upload my podcast RSS feed and then it's there. It's perfect. It's always updated. Wrong answer. It is not always updated. Changes made in Buzzsprout do not auto-update in YouTube. Again, very important. And the third is plays from YouTube are not included in your Buzzsprout stats. So if you currently don't have a YouTube channel where you're checking stats and updates, you're only an audio-only podcaster and you've only been checking stuff in Buzzsprout, this does add a few extra steps for you to check your stats from all the platforms. But I think it's really cool because there are some very cool features. Once you get your RSS feed added to YouTube, there's some perks, okay? I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll come back to it. Now, the thing that I said earlier is you have to add your email to your RSS feed for a 48-hour period to get your RSS feed uploaded to Buzzsprout. So this is an extra step. It's an added step, and they tell you exactly how to do it. Again, if you're a Buzzsprout user, if you're not, go check with your podcast hosting service on how you would do this. But what you do here is you have to add the email token. So add the email, you would just click this button, boom, it's added. Okay, sure, add it to my feed. It's there. It may take a few minutes to get your actual email address added to your RSS feed. But then once that's done, you'll copy and paste it, and they actually show you the rest of the steps that you need to do to get your podcast added. I'm not going to walk through those in this video because this has already been done. You can find YouTube and other Buzzsprout content telling you exactly how to do this. But instead, I'm actually going to show you what happens after it got uploaded and some of the things that I learned whenever I was uploading my content and have so let's pretend I just oh, my RSS feed is live on YouTube. Yay. This is actually afterwards, but you get what I'm saying. We're trying to role play here. Role play with me, please. So if I'm in my channel content, I will come over here. You see it says shorts, lives, posts, playlist, podcast. This is where my podcast lives because I only uploaded the Proffitt Podcast. I have another show called The Potty Report that I did for 3 years. We also have our weekly newsletter, Content Therapy. If you have not subscribed, go listen to Content Therapy. It's just good for the soul, I promise. But I just have the Proffitt Podcast currently on YouTube. So I'm going to click into there, and that's where we're going to find the information that you would see if you had just uploaded your content to YouTube. Now, we're actually going to see my videos are live and everything. So I'm not going to I wasn't going to retroactively go back and unpublish all the things because there's 501 podcast episodes on the podcast. We're not going to do that. But I want to kind of walk you through what happened once I uploaded the RSS feed and what that looked like. So what I did is I uploaded, like I said, my entire back catalog from 2018. Okay? Like it's 2018. There was a lot of content. And I only added, like I said, the Proffitt Podcast, and it took hours to pull all this in. So it's not like you can just like, okay, my RSS feed is there. Boom. Oh, awesome. Click of a button. It's done. It takes a while for it to import. So just kind of have that expectation. If you know this is going to, like you're going to do this, just expect that it's going to take a while. It's not going to be just, a click, a snap of your fingers, and it's done. But one thing that I will say, and YouTube, if you are listening, please make it to where we could bulk like edit things, because I had to go in. You could bulk edit, like make everything public, but I had to go into every single episode and monetize it. And that was painful. Okay. Like I said, it was like 400 something episodes when I did it. And it was very painful to go in and click every single one. So if you're not familiar with this process, you have to go in, you have to actually click like that you want to monetize. This doesn't, it's not against the rules and regulations that YouTube has for monetization. So it was a lengthy process. It's done now. So now when a new episode is published, I only have to do that for those episodes. But it was a lot. It was a lot. Also, I want to throw this out here too. You could actually upload a podcast feed and keep it private. Okay, lean in real fast. You course creators out there, okay? The course creators that want to have a podcast for their course, like all of your videos, everything that you've done, and you're like, I really don't want to pay for another place to have a private podcast. I mean, I'm just saying. We're going to show you what this actually looks like here in a second. But I'm just saying you could upload all of your videos, all of your content to YouTube, right? Or you could just keep it all private. You keep it all private and it could run like a podcast. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I'm just going to throw it out there. Throw it out there as an option. But I want to walk through kind of what these dashboards and everything means. But yeah, YouTube, if you're listening, please make it to where we can monetize all the things at once. Please and thank you. So this is all pulled in, because it is a RSS feed, from what I have already listed in Buzzsprout. So this is the Proffitt Podcast. This is my episode description. This is my artwork. This is what I have. If you wanted to come in and change this, you can. I'm fine with it just being my podcast artwork. I'm not trying to go above and beyond. It's recognizable to my audience, so we're just going to leave it at that. Then the actual RSS settings are here. And then this is where you have the visibility piece. If you only people you choose to watch for private or unlisted, and then public. So I have mine set to public. And then if you go down to the show more options, episodes for my RSS feed contain paid promotion. I click yes on this only because there's content from way back when that was published or had sponsorships. It was published. You know what I mean. Published with sponsorships. That's what I meant to say. And I want that to be in there. Plus, I have a lot of affiliate stuff. The dynamic content pieces likely won't be pulled in. That feature isn't available. So I'm going to go over your head for just a second if you're not a Buzzsprout user, but Buzzsprout has this tool called dynamic content. So if you have that added to all of your episodes, so let's say you're doing a promotion and you're like, hey, the card open is between this date and this date, or you're promoting an event, you're doing a webinar. Like if you have any of those promotions, whether it's at the pre-roll, the mid-roll, or the post-roll, that likely won't be brought into YouTube. It's kind of like ran through a filter and it's stripped out of it. But just like giving you a heads up, if you're very reliant on that dynamic content, I've told y'all this before. People tell me, oh, I put my intro, it's my dynamic content, or my outro is my dynamic content. No. Do not do that. Do not do that, okay? Because then you run into platforms like this where they're like, oh, dynamic content? We don't do that nonsense around here. We just play the actual audio file. So just giving you a heads up that it's probably going to like scrub your content of any dynamic content that you have on Buzzsprout. So that's how it works today. Maybe it'll be different in the future. And then the last one is upload all of your episodes. So you do have the option of choosing like the date of when you want, like, oh, only go back to, 2022 or 2021 or whatever. Like if you know there's a whole back catalog, like you rebranded your show and you don't want that information out there, because we're going to talk about YouTube as a platform for discoverability. And if you're like, oh, I had this old content, but it's not really what I want to be known for today, then you can absolutely just keep that private. And then again, here's the visibility options. You can have the order of how it's published. So I have it just in the newest one. You could sort it by the most popular. So if someone goes directly to your podcast link, then this is how it would be sorted by that, or they look at it from your channel. Okay, I hope y'all are still with me. If you're watching on YouTube, drop in the comments. Let me know, like, what are you most excited about whenever it comes to adding your podcast RSS feed to YouTube? I really want to know. I'm so curious about this. Okay. The other piece before we get into kind of the after, like after I've uploaded everything, is if you wanted to make it like a really big deal to your audience, like, hey, we're launching a YouTube channel and it's just your podcast on YouTube, that's totally fine. You could eventize it where you set every date. Again, it might be a little cumbersome. It might take some time, but if you only have like, let's say 20 episodes, then you could eventize it where you're like, on this date, maybe it's January, 1st, we're going to launch the podcast. We're going to be on YouTube, and that's where you can go find it. You could eventize it that way and have everything private until then. Right? You could have all of your episodes private or unlisted. That way no one can find it until you want them to find it. And then boom, January 1, you're launching it out into the world. And then finally you have your YouTube channel. So just throwing that out there. I'm always like trying to give people tips on how they can, do bigger things with their content and have like a launch aspect to it, because it does build that curiosity and just excitement around your content. But let's dive into like what y'all really want to see, right? Y'all want to see what this looks like on the back end. So this is how it looks like. I'm actually going to go over the analytics, but I want to show you kind of behind the scenes. So this is exactly how it looks like in my video dashboard. It has visibility, monetization, restrictions, the date that it was published, how many views, which views are downloads. Let's just, the direct comparison there. Then it has comments, which is different, right? Like if you publish a podcast episode on Apple Podcast, you're not going to get comments. There are comments on Spotify and some other platforms where someone can directly comment on there, but this is another cool feature, right? Then we have your likes and your dislikes, and like you can kind of see, again, I have so many episodes. And then we have where you can, add or upload content. I don't to this one because it is fully the RSS feed. This is all getting ingested from Buzzsprout. I'm not adding anything manually to this, which is very, very nice. Very nice. Okay. But let's move into the analytics. This is what y'all want to see. I know. So again, if you're listening on the audio only version, you need to go check this out on YouTube so you can see, because I know y'all are nosy. I'm nosy too. I want to know what people's stats are. I want to know like what's really going on behind the scenes, right? So I'm only going to look at the last 90 days because if you're watching on the video, you can see why there's nothing on here before September 1st, which I love that I added everything like at that like right time, because again, like when I'm recording this, it's about 60 days, but I can see how many episodes I uploaded, and you can, look at this, 413 episodes added in one day. That was when the initial like ingesting of the RSS feed happened. So that's not going to happen again. And that's why there was a whole bunch. And then some of these other three, it's like, okay, that's actually the views. That's what happened there. I'm reading this whole chart wrong. I was thinking, oh my God, I had 400 something added on that one day. But that was totally different. That was not the amount of episodes added. That was how many views we had. So that meant that I added all of this content. People were like, oh my gosh, she's flooding the internet. What is happening? Why is all this here? That was the day that I added it. So I was looking at this wrong. Yeah. But now we get it. See, if y'all are just listening, you're missing this whole train wreck that I have going on over here. So that's the dashboard overview. We have views, then we have watch time, and then we have estimated revenue. So within the first 48 hours of uploading my content, I made like $2. And I know, it's not a lot of money, but it was $2 I didn't have before. Like, it was $2. And all I had to do was click a button that said add my RSS feed to YouTube. So, I mean, I'm just saying, easiest $2 I ever made. But what's really cool is it has the same like updating live. Like we've had 34 views in the last 48 hours. And some of these are for brand new pieces of content, but some of these are your back catalog. Like your back catalog is constantly getting discovered by new people. And we'll actually talk about what that means here. But the other cool piece is you have your top period or your top content in this period. So that's the period is the 90 days that we have selected. So the top 10, I can see, oh, well, these are newer pieces of content that I've put out into the world. This isn't all really old content. All the dates for here are in 2024. So that just tells me it's more recent content. And we'll dig more into these analytics in a second. So let's go over to the content tab. So the average view duration is 3 minutes, which again is better than other content on YouTube, which is really funny, right? It's so weird to me that like, you know, people listen for like 3 minutes of something and they're like, nah, I'm out, I'm bouncing. Whereas on podcast apps, maybe that's a future piece of content. Compare an Apple podcast, like dashboard, like analytics to how long the duration was, how long somebody listened to it versus watch time on here. That'd be super interesting. So earmark that one for a future episode. But then I got 2.1 thousand, like, so I got over 2,000 views. Again, views are downloads in around 90 days, which is really around 60-ish days because it's not we're not utilizing the full 90-day scope here. So again, you can kind of see like for, you know, this particular video, like where, you know, people drop off or where they listen. And then you could dive into like, how are people finding you? So overall, like suggested videos and then external. So again, that SEO factor is key. It plays a significant role on YouTube. So if you've always had episodes that are like episode 48, like my interview with blah, 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 and you just name that person, like think about your titles, like think about upping your title game. Maybe that's your goal for 2025 is like, I'm going to have better titles for my podcast or my YouTube content in 2025. It makes a big difference. It makes a really big difference. So consider that. And then browse features channel. And then it has the external stuff. So Google search, that's where a lot of my like content is coming from. So, I mean, it's not just like, I cannot stress enough about discoverability. Discoverability on YouTube is like, it's just incredible. And you cannot ignore this, especially as a podcaster in 2024, 2025, or whenever you're watching this. Like, you have to make this a priority to get your content out and in as front of as many people as possible. Oh my gosh, this was such a tongue twister. In front of as many people as possible, because that's how you're going to grow your show organically and continue to have other opportunities to network with people or have really awesome guests discover your show or have new audiences discover your show. So it's super important. And then YouTube search, I can see the specific keywords that people found my podcast, right? So it's kind of like if you've ever used Google Analytics, it gives you these like, oh, your blog or your website was discovered because of these keywords. This is what this is telling me. Affiliate marketing, Amy Porterfield, Chartable, a Chartable podcast, and NaNoWriMo, which is funny because I haven't talked about NaNoWriMo in probably 5 years at least. So many of you may not even know what that is. Go look it up. It's coming up soon in November, so go look it up. And then suggested videos. So these are other people's content. They suggested my content. And then playlist is just the Proffitt Podcast. So we could continue to get in the weeds on all of this, but I want to just keep on going high level of the big things. Again, these are like my lessons learned, the key things that I've seen since I uploaded my podcast. So I had 189 returning viewers. I had 1.8K unique viewers and 17 new subscribers. So I believe that this is so significant because I can actually go back to metrics with like the content that's being put out here, 17 new subscribers. Those are opportunities to connect with those people, not just through my podcast, but also the other content that I create on my channel, right? Because sometimes I'll put out other content. I put out a lot of shorts. I put out a lot of other like tutorial type videos. So this could be really helpful. Now, it doesn't have enough information. So it says not enough demographic data to show like age and gender or some of the others, but I can see United States and Nigeria, which is interesting because if I go to my YouTube stats, it's typically US, Philippines, Canada, and India. Those are my top countries that I see. So Nigeria isn't even on there. So super interesting. And then not subscribed versus subscribed. This is typical of YouTube. So if you're like, all of this is like blowing your minds right now. Again, the audio only version, you got to go check out the YouTube video because it'll be super helpful. All right, let's run through revenue real fast. So again, that first like few days. So that first day, I told you I made $2.78. So almost $3 the first day after I uploaded all of my content there. And it's kind of trickled out and like, oh, okay, it's making a little money here and there, but that's $29 that I didn't have previously on my YouTube channel, in my business, for my content. And I know so many of you are trying to make money with what you're producing. This is a way to monetize faster. Again, you're not going to become a millionaire overnight just adding your podcast RSS feed to YouTube. But this has been my actual results. And I just love being transparent and showing these. So I have, how much you're earning in the next few months. It'll have multiple, documented like, okay, this is how much you made this month. This is how much you made here. These are like your top performing podcast episodes and then where you're getting paid. So that's kind of a breakdown of everything that we have in here. And the last thing I want to show you is actually the format. So this is what a lot of people have asked me is like, well, what does it actually look like? It looks like a square. It is your podcast artwork. Again, unless you changed it on that like main page where you have your podcast on YouTube, it is my podcast artwork that is there. And then it is my audio. It's just playing. So again, YouTube, if you're listening, if you happen to watch this, we would love a waveform. Right? We would love like the squiggly lines or a circle that like, pulses or something to like show you this is actual dialogue that's happening and it's not just this plain podcast artwork that's out there. And then the transcript, I don't actually take my transcript from Buzzsprout and upload it to YouTube. Maybe that's something we can work on in the future. But right now, I just have the closed caption turned on here and it will have the transcript. And it is that likely is ingested from Buzzsprout because it's processed on my Buzzsprout side. Then it's here. But if I go into this particular episode to the transcript space, it's not uploaded there. So it's just closed captioning. So it could be the audio generated. Who knows? I'm not going to go in and add the entire transcript right now. I don't have the capacity to do that for 500 episodes. And my VA is working on way more important things than doing that right now today. So closed captioning that's how it's going to be. And then again, everything is ingested exactly how it is in Buzzsprout, but you can come in and edit this. It does not have to stay this exact way right here. Like, cause you can see there's like a little bit of extra space because this right here is automatically ingested. It's where you can send me a text. This is such a fun feature. We'll get to this in a second. You can do a fan mail shout out and you can actually send me a text message. Very cool. If you're on your mobile device, you're watching YouTube, then you can go ahead, click on that, and then you can send me a text message. I would love to hear from you. Please, it could be inspiration for one of our future episodes. But then there's extra space here. This is actually, this is dynamic content. Okay. It's actually pulled in. My dynamic content was pulled in. But if I remove this dynamic content, it won't go away because it was ingested one time and it's just kind of dumped there. Let's just think of it that way. It's ingested from Buzzsprout and dumped into YouTube. But if you update something for that episode, it's not going to update. It's just going to stay the way that it was ingested. So there you go. Kind of like you've been warned. You've been told that that's how it's going to happen. Let me see. I'm just looking at all of my notes here because we had so much to cover. So the description is whatever you have in Buzzsprout, your episode description. You can edit it once it's there. Just be mindful. Dynamic content. We already went through that. Don't have the current waveforms or transcriptions. We already talked about that. Closed captioning. So now I actually want to go into what I'm calling our segment 4, which is lessons learned. So one, if you've been podcasting for a while, it's going to take a minute to get all of this uploaded. So just be aware that that's a possibility. It could take, 24 or 48 hours for your whole podcast back catalog to be added to YouTube. So patience is a virtue on that. And then one of the other ones is discoverability. I mean, you could have such a performing piece of content on YouTube that maybe never took off on your podcast because you didn't have the right discoverability based on how the platforms operate today. So why not take that chance, right? If all you have to do is add your email address and put that pesky little RSS feed into YouTube by following all the steps to make it happen, then what you have to do. It's not that complicated. So I believe it's worth it. I think that your podcast should absolutely be on YouTube to be discovered by other people. And SEO is key. If you have not focused on the titles for your episodes in the past, then let's make 2025 the year that you do start looking at the different ways that you can have more impactful titles for your content. So I actually want to jump into our next little segment is if you have not got on our waitlist for Podcasters Connect, I need you to do that right now. Right now. I need you to go to crystalproffitt.com/podcasters-connect-waitlist. And so what this is we are launching a community for podcasters to connect. That's what it is. So I've had a Facebook group for years. We have thousands of podcasters in there. People can ask questions and, get helpful resources or get connected with people. People have been guests on other shows. People have found their accountability partner to help them launch their podcast. It has been a magical place for a long time. However, I will say people have told me, I don't want to be on Facebook all the time. I want a platform that's kind of disconnected from other aspects of social media, a place where when I go there, I know I'm getting valuable insights, I'm connecting with people, and I'm not going to be distracted by 50,000 other things that are happening, all the notifications from my neighborhood groups or what my Aunt Linda said about, Cousin Coco, like all those things, right? So please come join us in Podcasters Connect. Whenever you're watching this video, it's going to go live soon, so you don't have to wait super long. But for now, we have a waitlist. So go to crystalproffitt.com/podcasters-connect-waitlist. You're going to have the link, wherever you're watching the video and in the description. But I would love for you to come check us out. And if you are an existing Proffitt Media customer, go check your email because you're actually getting access to the platform early. I'm just saying, that's my little sneak peek. Go check your email because you have access to it already. Okay? Just go do that. I'm winking. If you're on the audio only version, I'm winking, you can go check it out early. So go check that out. Now, last but certainly not least, we have a fan mail shout out today. And I'm really excited about this. So this was super cool. Thank you so much, Doug. Doug said, "Hi, Crystal. I should have included my name, which is Doug. My podcast is To All the Cars I've Loved Before, and my email is doug@carslove.com. So this is what Doug originally said. He said, "Hi, Crystal. I'm wondering if you're familiar with audiencelift.com or similar services. We are trying to boost our downloads for Cars Loved." So I had to go look up Doug's podcast, of course. So I want you to go check it out. It is all about the cars that you've had, or he's had over his life and, loved them before. And I thought this was so cool. So I love the idea of this podcast. There's actual names of the cars and pictures of them. And it's really cool. Go check out their website. But back to your question, I actually found some articles. So Audience Lift, let me go back to sharing my screen again. Audience Lift is this really cool platform, and I have to say I'm a little biased because I started digging, right? I started digging. This is part of my job. I was I'm going to dig into this and see what this is. And then I stumbled upon oh, I know what this company is. So I have a good friend, shout out Travis, who works with I don't know if it's this exact company, but he works with the parent company of this. And I think it's really cool that this is a great promotional opportunity, similar to Buzzsprout ads. So what it is basically you can go to the website audience-lift.com and go check it out. But you design a campaign, and what they do is they actually go and promote your podcast trailer to these audiences through push notifications and through other existing platforms. So it allows you to get in front of people that are already out there. So for example, they have ad space on all of these big blogging sites or these other websites that have been around for a long time, where let's say, for example, there was a Google ad, right? Like there was a Google ad here. Well, now it could be your podcast trailer. So what they're doing is they're utilizing the media platform that they have. And it's like, hey, instead of putting like another hefty garbage bag campaign there, why don't we put someone's podcast and let their trailer be played? So super cool. I think if you have the budget and you're experimenting and you're like, I don't want to throw money at Facebook or Instagram ads, I want to try something that's really going to help my podcast, I say you experiment with it, right? And they have their pricing on here where you can actually see how much it is. So for $500, you could get 15,000 trailer plays in 1 to 3 days. So if you have $500 to experiment, like that's where it starts and it goes all the way to 15, then I think go for it. Go for it. If you have the budget. Now, if you're struggling and you are like, oh gosh, like that's going to really put us in the red, that's going to put us over the edge, then maybe make this one of your goals for next year is to experiment with these marketing platforms. But I say go for it. I found a Pod News article that we'll link to in the show notes that's all about Audience Lift and what it's all about. So it is a credible place, right? Because I know if you're like me, you're like, am I getting scammed? Am I getting scammed? Is this something that's like going to bankrupt me and my household and everything else? Like, no, this is a legit company. So I'll link to this and have that in the show notes so you can check it out. But Doug, thank you so much for reaching out, and everyone go check out Doug's podcast, Cars Loved. And thank you so much for listening today. This is always so fun. I love creating content for y'all. And if you have ideas on the next topic we should cover, make sure and send us a fan mail and you could have a next fan mail shout out. Ask us a question, tell us about your podcast, or if there is a goal for 2025 that you're really focusing on, let us know. You can go wherever you're listening to this where it says send Crystal a text message and let me know. Let me know. I want to hear from you. But that's all I have for you today. So make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening and watching today. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Proffitt Podcast listeners, thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.